Okay, so question 22, we know that at the beginning there is a total of 60 figurines. And we know that Smurf is to Lego, is to Iron Man, is 2:7, is to 3. So we know also that he bought another 36 figurines. As a result, the Smurfs increased by 50% and the Lego increased by 20%. So we're trying to find the percentage increase in the Iron Man. Hold on. Very small, can I expand? Okay, sure. Thanks for letting me know. Is this okay? Is this better? Okay. More? Wait, if more, I might not have space for writing. Just give me a sec. This. Is this better? All right. Okay, so I'm going to start writing the information from the start. So we have Smurf, Lego, Iron Man. So 2:7 is to 3. The beautiful thing about this question is they gave us the total at the beginning. Okay, so if we have the total at the beginning, why do I say it's beautiful? Because then we can work with the actual numbers already. Right now, we know everything, right? 2 plus 7 plus 3. We know altogether we have 12 units, right? So we already know that we can find out 12 units is actually 60, right? Figurines. So then 1 unit will be 60 divided by 12, which is 5. So you can solve for your Smurf, Lego, and Iron Man individually, right, at the beginning. So we can find out what's 2 units. 5 times 2. Then after that, I can find out what 7 units. 7 times 5. And I can find out what's 3 units, which is the Iron Man, right? 5 times 3, 15. Now I'm gonna change everything in the over here, the starting part. So I'm just gonna list everything down. So we know that the Smurfs would be 10, Lego would be 35, and then the Iron Man 15, right? So Smurf figurines will increase by 50%. So you're going to find out what's 50% of the Smurfs, right? So 50% of Smurfs, which is the 10 units, the 10 figurines, not 10 units. 5, which means increase by 5 for the Smurfs. Okay, then for the Lego, increase by 20%, right? Simply find out what is 20%. 20 or 100 times the Lego, which is 35. This is 7, which means the Lego plus 7. Okay, we know that in total he bought 36 figurines, right? So that means I can find out Iron Man is plus what, right? What's the increase for Iron Man? So 36 figurines minus 5 minus 7, we're left with 24, right? So Iron Man increased by 24. So the question is asking us to find the percentage increase in the number of Iron Man. So percentage increase, please remember, it will be the increase out of the original times 100. All right, so in this case, the increase is 24. The original is the one at first, right, which is 15. Percentage, then you go and times 100. So if you work this out, you should get 160%. That's the answer for this one. All right. So day 23, this question is actually assumption. This is an assumption question. So we know that the winner will move forward by 3 steps. And if you lose, you will move backwards by 1 step. Okay, so they actually played 50 times. And there were 94 steps. So how many times did Ryan win the game? Now, because in this situation, right, the person who loses will go back by 1 step. It will be a little weird if I assume that Ryan lost everything. Okay, so I'm still just going to assume that Ryan won all 50 times. Okay, so assume that Ryan won all 50 times. How many steps forward would he have moved? 50 times. Each time he wins is 3 steps, right? So that's 150 steps forward. Okay, but that's not the real total, right? The real total in the question says is 94 steps only. So how many extra steps are there? 150 minus 94. That's 56. So 56 is the extra steps. Okay. Next, we got to find out what's the difference. The difference between what? The difference between the 2 scenarios. If the person wins and the person loses, what's the difference between the 2 scenarios? Now let me draw it out separately. This is the neutral ground at 0. Okay. Forward, wins means you take 3 steps forward plus 3. But if the person loses, 1 step backwards, so it's a -1. So over here, the difference in the 2 scenario is actually a 3 plus 1, which is 4 steps. It's a 4 steps difference between the winner and the loser. Okay. So over here, it will be 3 plus 1. The difference is 4. Okay. Next, we will take 56 divided by 4. We will get 14. And what does the 14 represent? 14 will represent the opposite of what we assume. We assume Ryan won. This one would be Ryan lost. Okay. So for those who need help memorizing the steps, right? First one will be total. Second step, extra. Third step, difference. Fourth step, you divide and you get the opposite. Okay, so from here we know that 14 is what Ryan lost. So if Ryan lost 14 times, means how many times did he win the game? They played for 50 times, right? So if he lost 14 times, means he won 36 times. All right, so that's the answer for this one, 36. Okay, question 24 is actually super simple. It is super, super, super direct. No particular concept or anything. You just need to find the cost of each eraser, right? 770 is for 6 erasers and 4 pens. With the same amount of money, he could buy 14 erasers. Then from here, 14 erasers cost $7.70, right? Okay, so then if he only decided to buy pens, how many pens could he buy with $19.80? So 14 erasers cost $7.70. So simply go and find 1 eraser, okay, which is 770 divided by 14. So 1 eraser is 55 cents. So we also know this. You see this part in the question? 6 erasers and 4 pens cost $7.70, right? So you're going to find the cost of 6 erasers. If you find 6 erasers, you can find 4 pens, right? So this is 6 erasers times 6, $3.30. So from here, we can find out what's 4 pens. 4 pens will be $7.70 minus $3.30. Oops. Which is $4.40. And with that, we are able to know that 1 pen is $4.40 divided by 4, which is $1.10. So how many pens can he buy with $19.18? Just need to divide, right? So 1980 divided by 110. $18. Question 25. This is a ratio question, so let's write down the ratios that were given. We know that the total, no, only D, yeah? We know D is 108. We know A is 3/4 of the total of who? Of B, C, and D. And we also know that B to total in C and D is 1:3. And we also know that C is 4 times of D. You have a lot of information there. Just write everything down. First one, box A is 3/4 of the total in B, C, and D. So A is to B plus C plus D will be 3:4. Next one, B is to the total in C and D. So B is to C plus D. Okay, will be 1:3. Next information, C is 4 times of D, which is 4:1. So I hope after writing down your ratios, you realize that they are repeated ones. Let's start from C and D. You see that C and D total, they add up to 5 units, right? And you see your C and D here, 3 units. So let's make those that are repeated the same. Okay, so that all your units will be equal and it will make sense, all right? So C and D over here, 5U, C and D over here, 3U. So 5 and 3, lowest common multiple is 15. So over here, we'll times 5. Remember, it's the whole set that multiplies, yeah? So this is 5:15. So I'm just gonna lightly cross out the old one so I don't confuse myself. Over here, I will have 2 times 3. So once again, it's the whole set that will multiply. 12, 3, 15. Then let's move on. You see B, C, and D over here. Total, they make up 20, right? 5 plus 15. Then you look at here, B, C, and D over here. So again, B, C, D is repeated, right? So B, C, D should be 20 as according to this part here, 5 plus 15, right? So I'm going to change this times 5 to 20. So times 5. So once again, I'm going to strike out the old one so I don't confuse myself. So right now, my units are all equal already. Now I made the ratios all the same. And that was the tricky part. Right now, it's the easy part already. We know that D is 108. So now you can easily solve. D is here. So we know that 3 units is 108. Okay, so then 1 unit, 108 divided by 3, which is 36. So altogether in the 4 boxes, A, B, C, D here. Total units 15 plus 20, which is 35. So go on to find 35 units. 36 times 35. The answer is 1260. Okay. So once again, it looks like, oh my goodness, so much information right now. So lengthy the question, but actually it's not difficult. Okay, so let's see how we can split up and break down the information, all right? So we know this is a total. We know Chinese to Malay to Indian, this is the ratio. And we know that after somewhere in between 463 Chinese, they joined, then the Malay and Indian pupils, they left the school. And we know in the end, the percentage of Chinese became 78%. And while in the end, the Malay pupils equal to the number of Indian pupils. So the part A asks us for Indian pupils who left. So I'm going to start with the information at the beginning. Again, like the question earlier, right? I'm going to say that this question is good. Okay, what's beautiful about this question again is that they gave us a total number at the beginning, which means we can work with the actual number, which makes things a lot easier. So we know that 1570 make up everything which is here. 5:3 1:2. So your total units, 5 plus 3 plus 2, we know it's 10 units, right? So 10 units, 1570. So which tells you that 1 unit would be 1570 divided by 10, which is 157. Okay, so from here we can go and find out our Chinese to Malay to Indian. What's the actual number of pupils at the beginning? So you find 5 units, which is 157 times 5, which is 785. Then you can find the Malay, which is 3 units. (471). Then we can find the Chinese, no, in the Indian, which is 2 units. 314. Okay, so let's list down the information one by one. 785, Malay 471, Indian 314. See? Next, we know that 463 Chinese pupils joined. Okay, so I just write 463 plus 463. Some Malay and Indian pupils left the school. We don't know how many. I'm just going to write down minus question mark because we don't know how many left, right? Then in the end, let's see what's the information that we have. Okay, let me add up the Chinese one because we have the numbers, right? So I'm just going to take 785 plus 463. Means the Chinese pupils in the end will be 1,248. And what's given in the question, they tell us that the Chinese pupils increased to 78%, meaning this one here is 78% in the end, which means the Malay and Indian will make up how many percent? 100 minus 78, right? Which is actually 22%. And they told us that in the end, the Malay and Indian, they are equal, which means the 22% will be split evenly between them, right? Divided by 2. Means in the end, Malay will be 11% and the Indian pupils also make up 11%. So do you see what you can use now? You can use this, make use of the Chinese part, right? 78% is 1248. So let me, okay, so 78%, 1248. So I can go on to find out what's 1%, 1248 divided by 78, which is 16. So we can find out what is 11%, which is the Indian pupils in the end. So 16 times 11, which is 176. So we know that 176 remaining and 176 remaining. So answer for part A, how many Indian pupils left? Okay, they are not asking for the remaining, they're asking those who left. So we still need to subtract. So I need to take 314 minus 176, which is 138. That's the answer for part A. Then we have part B. They're asking for percentage decrease, and also they ask you to correct to 1 decimal place. So like the previous question, right? Percentage decrease. Now, just now I asked you for increase, now it's decrease. Decrease means we will take the decrease out of the original times 100. Okay? So the decrease is 138. Out of the original again is the one at first, right? At first is 314. Then they want percentage. So if we work this out, we will have 43.94, which we need to round up to 1 decimal place, which will give us 43.9%. That's the answer for part B. Number 27. Now, upon reading the question, do you realize that you cannot start from the beginning? Why? Why do I say so? Because they only tell us the total. I don't know how many chickens, I don't know how many ducks. They tell me the total. Then after they tell me, say, oh, bought 54 more chickens, sold 12.5% of the ducks. I don't know how am I going to present my working, you know, but as you read on, then you see, oh, in the end, the chickens to ducks is 6:7. So it kind of seemed like it's easier to start from the back. So I'm going to start writing down the information from the back. I'm just going to remind myself that I'm starting from the end. If not, sometimes we'll forget, right? Because we're so used to writing from the beginning. So I'm just going to remind myself that I'm writing from the end. So chickens, ducks. So say 6:7. That's the ending. So let's look at the ducks. The ducks were left with 7 units because he sold 12.5% of the ducks. Looking at this information here, if he sold 12.5% of the ducks, means he's left with how many percent of the ducks? At first 100%, right? If he sold 12.5, he'll be left with 87.5% of the ducks, right? Which means this 7 units will be equal to the 87.5%. Now let me find out what's 1 unit. 1 unit is how many percent? That's 12.5%. Okay, so I'm going to find out the chickens, 6 units. So I'm going to work in percentage now instead of units. (1.5 times 6), which is 75%. Okay, so I'm going to transform these. Instead of 6:7, I'm not going to use units now. I'm going to write down 87.5% for the ducks, and for the chickens is 75%. Now, why am I doing this? You see, because in the end, if they are left with this, right, I can work backwards. So 12.5% of the ducks, right? I simply put back 12.5%. I'm working backwards. If I work backwards, I do the opposite one. So, right? So now I put back. I'm going to work backwards to find out what's at the beginning. Then for the chickens, right? He bought the 54 chickens, right? I need to do the opposite. Instead of buying, I'm going to take them away. So I'm minus 54 chickens. Okay? So I'm just going to, okay, let me strike this off. So I'm not using the 6:7 anymore. So ducks at the beginning, 100%. Chickens at the beginning, I'm just going to write 75% minus 54. That's all I know for now. I'm just going to write it like that. Information in the question, at first total of 632, which means 75% minus 54, which is the chickens at first, plus 100%, which is the ducks at first, and altogether they add up to 632. Right? So now I'm going to combine the percentage. I add them up. This is 175%. Minus 54 is 632. So from here, I know that 175% is actually 632 plus 54. Which is 686. Okay, what do we want to find? We want to find chickens at first. Chickens at first would be, chickens at first will be this one. Okay, the blue color part, 75% minus 54. So let's find out 1%. Which is 3.92. Now, not to worry, because if you're working in percentage, you get 3.92 chickens. Of course, if that's your final answer, it won't make sense. That will be wrong for sure. But since you're working in percentage, normally 1% you get a decimal. It's probably okay. Just make sure when you multiply at the end, you get a whole number, okay? So chickens at first, 75%. It's 294. Don't forget, afterwards, we still have to subtract minus the 54. Then you get 240. That's the answer for part A. Now then part B, they ask us to express the number of chickens as a fraction of the number of ducks at first. Okay, so now we got the chickens at first already. Just got to find ducks. So ducks is 100%, right? So I'm gonna write in black, a bit of a short space here. So I'm gonna find 100% now, which is 3.92 times 100, which is 392. Okay, so if we were to write it as a fraction, chickens out of duck, chickens 240, duck 392. Okay, this is paper 2. So just key this into your calculator, use the fractions function, right? Please don't go and do the divide by 2. By the time you finish, no time already. Okay, so just key into the calculator, make use of the calculator for your paper 2, all right? So this gives you simplify this one. The answer is 30 out of 49. Okay, so question 28. We know beginning total is 172. So Mrs. Teo, she added some fruits, so added to box X so that X actually doubled. Then she removed 2/3 from Y, and then she added 20 into Z. So in the end, the ratio is 6, 3, and 4. Okay, but we don't know how many fruits are there in total in the end, right? So this is a working backwards question again, because we don't know X, Y, and Z individually at first, right? We only know the total. So that's not very helpful at the moment. So let me write everything down. X, Y, and Z. So once again, I'm starting from the end, right? I do this to remind yourself. If not, sometimes I will forget. You know, then I'll make careless mistakes, right? So I guess maybe if you also make careless mistakes, please remind yourself that you're starting from the end, all right? So this is 6, this is 3, this is 4. So when you're working backwards, remember you do the opposite of what the question says. So they say that she added 20 into Z. So if she added 20 into Z, what should we do to Z? Take out the 20, right? So I'm just gonna write this as units, okay? So that now I minus 20 fruits from Z like that. So then what happens to Y? So in the question says that she removed 2/3 from Y. Okay. So now you got to think in your head. If she removed 2/3 from Y, means left with what fraction? After 2/3 is removed, means 1/3 is left, right? So this is the 1/3 left inside Y. Okay, so if I were to draw the model for you to help you visualize, Y left with this 1/3, no? And this 1/3 is actually 3U. So I need to put back this one. This is the 2/3 that was removed, right now. So if this is 3U, this is 3U, this is 3U, meaning I need to add back the 2/3, which is 6U. Okay, add back the 2/3 that was removed. All right? Then as for X, X doubled. If X doubled and became 6 units, now I'm going to work backwards and halve it. Right now, that's the opposite of double, right? I halve it. So what's half of 6? I take out 3U. So I'm halving it. So at the beginning, so I'm just going to write, so that's the start now. At the start, X had 3U, Y had 9U, and Z, I'm just going to have to write it as 4 units minus 20. Okay? So then I can make use of the information here, 172 fruits at first. Okay, so this tells me that 3 units plus 9 units plus 4U minus 20 gives me the total fruits at first, which is 172. Now let's add up all the units for 16 units. 16 units minus 20 is 172. So this tells us that 16 units, 16 units is 172 plus 20, which is 192. So 1 unit will be 192 divided by 16, which is 12. The answer for part A, we want to find y at first. Y at first would be this, 9 units. So just go and find 9 units. So 12 times 9, 108 for the answer for A. Okay. Now then part B, what's the ratio of Z to the total at first? Okay, so Z, I need to find out Z, which is this, 4U minus 20. So let me find out what's 4U units, which is 12 times 4, 48. So don't forget to subtract, right? I need to take away the 20. So 48 minus 20, which is 28. That's the Z at first. So then I need to find the total at first. Oh, I don't have to. Total at first is given in the question, which is 172. So they want ratio. So please take note. They want ratio, don't give them fraction. Okay. So we're going to write 28, which is a Z, is to the total at first, 172. So 20 is to 172. So same thing. Please don't go and divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2 like that. Okay. Use the calculator to help you. So although they're asking for ratio, right, you also can use the calculator, use the fraction function to help you solve. You just put 28 out of 172. It will simplify for you. Okay, so 28 out of 172, simplify for you, you get 7 out of 43. 7 is to 43, the ratio. That's the answer for part B.